Shabbat Shalom, Israel. This is Akhtazamat, portion of Jacob, live on this Shabbat morning. Everybody out there listening in, glad to have you. Where we're at right now, we're picking up part 3 of End Times Prophecy. We're going to parlay it over into the Shabbat lesson. We got Elder Rataziah. It's going to pick up where we left off. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, go ahead and check out the portion of Jacob prophecy segment, and you can catch up to where we at. But if you with us now, we're gonna go ahead and get it in, y'all. Glad to have y'all with us. And shout out to Jasid, man. He brought us some good precepts this morning before we went live, man. I just want to shout out to that brother for what he did, man. It was very helpful, very insightful. You know what I mean? But yeah, Ratazai, you in the building, correct?
Shalom, yes sir.
Shalom, shalom. All right, brothers. Let's go ahead and get that in, pick up where we left off.
Okay. The scripture we left off on part 2 was Zephaniah 2, 1 through 3. We already read that. Now we're going to pick up from Matthew chapter 18. If you're taking notes, Matthew chapter 18, verses 18 through 20. Okay? And I'll go ahead and read that. Matthew 18 through 20 says, Verily I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever ye shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Again I say unto you that if two of you shall agree, let me start over from 19. Again I say unto you, that if two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. I'll even go on to 20. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. And the reason why following Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1 through 3, I brought that precept, Yeshaya speaking there, to show you that you may be in an area where you're not able to gather with, I know there's a lot of guys on the internet, like different groups, and you may want to be a part of those groups. But you may be in an area, Most High might have woke you up, where it wasn't too many people, and you only may be able to find 2 or 3 people like-minded who you're able to gather with. And Christ is telling you that that's fine. Make sure you get with them and gather with them, because what you are able to do is you guys are able to strengthen one another through these prophetic times that we're going through. We're about to experience, brothers and sisters, we're about to experience some things that we've never, ever thought we'd see, especially if you're living here in America. We have a brother who lives by an army base, one of the biggest army bases in the United States. And one of the things he is reporting to us is how he's seen an increased number of cargo carrying airplanes, the huge airplanes. I'm not up to speed on the technical names for them, but when you see these airplanes coming in and going out, you know that they're moving tanks, they're moving heavy equipment somewhere far. You know, a lot of times the Army, if they want to move tanks and stuff in country, they can throw them on trains. But when they throw them on these planes, and these planes are going overhead day and night, you know there's something going on somewhere. And to recap, we're touching on the Russia escalation in Syria. Now you see, just a couple weeks ago, where France reported that they were going to start to do their bombing missions in Syria They were in Iraq uh, at the invitation of the Iraqi government, but now they have expanded because of certain terrorism that have been set up to go on in France. They've started to use that as a pretext to now do bombing runs in Syria. Now, that those bombing runs in Syrian territory are not with the permission of the ruling Syrian government. Russia, their bombing in Syria is at the invitation of the Syrian government, along with Iran's participation in the Syrian war, is with the permission of the Iraqi and the Syrian government. So what we're going to see is a clash. Now, a very important point is the fact that America was able to cause instability in Ukraine on Russia's border. Usually, what Russia does, just like in the missile crisis in the 60s, America brought missiles and set them up in Turkey, right next to Russia. So what Russia did was brought missiles and set them up in Cuba. Russia usually matches America tit for tat. So if you've been looking at some of the, it's not in the headlines, but you're going to have to do your Google searches. You'll see that Russia and China, they've been flying war jets, nuclear submarines, warships, and everything close to the American coast. You're not going to learn this on CNN, brothers and sisters. You're going to have to stay tuned into the news and to the scriptures and searching for yourself and sorting out what's going on, because America is going to entertain you right up until the end. Okay, so you need to gather with like-minded brothers and sisters and get with a teacher so you can be taught by someone who does have the ear to the ground. Now, I want to read a passage from the book of Judith. It's in the Apocrypha, Judith, Judith. Let me get there. And it's the book of Judith, chapter 5. It's a key scripture that goes along, actually Judeth. It goes along with Deuteronomy 30. But the other nations know this information, that when we're in tune with our God, then we have power to fend them off. But when we're not in tune with our God, we are exposed to their attack. It says, I'll pick up from verse 6 and I'll read through 21. Judith chapter 5, verse 6 through 21. Now, Holofernes was asking about, who, he was telling the king, who are these people before they attacked us? And listen to his response. Verse 6. This people are descendant of the Chaldeans, and they sojourned heretofore in Mesopotamia, because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of Chaldea. For they left the way of their ancestors and worshipped the God of heaven, the God whom they knew, so they cast them out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia and sojourned there many days. Then their God commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned and get into the land of Canaan, where they dwelt, and were increased with gold and silver and with very much cattle. But when a famine covered all the land of Canaan, they went down into Egypt and sojourned there, while they were nourished and become there a great multitude, so that one could not number their nation. Therefore the king of Egypt rose up against them and dealt subtly with them and brought them low, with laboring and bricks, and made them slaves. Then they cried unto their God, and he smote all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues. So the Egyptians cast them out of their sight. And God dried the Red Sea before them, and brought them to Mount Sinai, and Kadesh Barnea, and cast forth all that dwelt in the wilderness. So they dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and they destroyed by their strength all them of Esebon, and passing over Jordan, they possessed all the hill country. And they cast forth before them the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, and the Sychemite, and all the Girgasite, and they dwelt in the land, dwelt in that country many days. And whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles very sore, and were led captive into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. But now are they returned to their God, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. I'll read verse 21. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. That's huge right there, because that shows us that even the other nations, in formulating a plan against the children of Israel, know that the central portion of their plan is not anything outside of separating us from our God. Now, if you are new to this truth, it doesn't make any sense to you, because you're thinking in terms of strength by guns, weapons, tanks, organization, armies. But these guys have all the weapons, and they know that they cannot touch us if we're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. But when we depart from the law, statutes, and commandments, they know that we are wide open for attack, and we will be defeated. That parallels into these last days with what's going on now. If we're not connected to our God, we have no protection. Okay? Let's go to the book of Joel, chapter 2. Chapter 2, verse 12 through 20. Joel 2, 12 through 20. Let me get there. You have anything to say on that, Brother Tazamat, Brother Jehu, before I get there?
You got it.
Yeah, we good. We on point, brother.
Okay. Joel chapter 2, verses 12 through 20 says, Therefore also now, saith the Lord, turn ye even to me with your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning, and rent your heart, and not your garment, and turn unto the Most High your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of the evil. Who knoweth if he will return and repent, and leave a blessing behind him, even a meat offering and a drink offering unto the Most High our power? Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children, and those that suck the breast, Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet. Let the priests, the ministers of the Most High, weep before the porch and the altar, and let them say, Spare thy people, O Lord, and give not thine heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. Wherefore should they say amongst the people, Where is their God? Then will the Most High be jealous for his land and pity his people. Yea, the Most High will answer and say unto his people, Behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and ye shall be satisfied therewith. And I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen, but I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face towards the east sea, and his hinder part towards the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. How was this passage relevant to us? Well, we just read where the Most High told us to gather together in Zephaniah. Christ told you, hey, if you got to gather in little groups of 2 or 3, I'll be there. And Joel chapter 2 just told us to gather together. Say, call a fast, solemn assembly. Hey, bring the kids, bring the elders. That's a nation, all the people. And he also promised us that he will provide for us. He said he's going to give us corn and wine and oil, so we'll be satisfied. He also said, and this is key for us here in America, he said he will scatter the northern army. He said, but I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face towards the east sea, and his hinder part towards the utmost sea. One thing you'll notice, a characteristic about America, Babylon, is the fact that no other country in the world has military bases spread out throughout the earth in numbers like Babylon does. I believe I saw that America has military bases, major military bases, in over 150 countries. And it has thousands of bases in those, maybe about 1,000 bases in those 150 countries. So, if you do war strategy, you know that is an unsustainable military posture. This is from the Most High. You see, he's not doing America would tell you that, oh, we have the military bases to keep Japan in check from rising back up again, so we got to go to Okinawa and different bases in Japan. Oh, we want to stop Germany from rising back up again, so we have many military bases in Germany. Well, we want to do this and that, but the scripture tells you what this is for. The Most High is preparing the groundwork for the liberation of the children of Israel. That's why such a great army is spread out all over the world, to the point to where they're spread really thin. Okay? You can look up the different geographic places where it's talking about barren land. America is all in the Middle East, in the desert. The East Sea, America is very concerned about China in the East China Sea, the Sea of Japan. As a matter of fact, America is so concerned about China because China is building islands, man-made islands, with landing strips and naval ports. They're calling them the unsinkable aircraft carriers. Now, Obama announced a couple days ago, against the warning of China, that he's going to sail warships through the East Sea as a challenge to China's prohibition of any military ships going through that region without China's permission. Look for something there. Now, of course, in the mainstream media, it's going to get glossed over. You might have a ship sunk or something, and they'll never tell you about it. They'll tell you there was they'll gloss it over. But look out for that development, because it's prophesied that they're going to have to pay attention to the East Sea in that region, okay? And that's all for our deliverance, because if you read Joel chapter 3, then it goes into gathering all the armies for their final destruction, okay? So let's hit 2nd Ezra chapter 15. That's in your Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha chapter 15. And it's, you have anything to say on that while I'm getting there?
You hear what I got going on back here?
Okay. 2nd Ezra chapter 15. It says, these are some good instructions for us in these times. It says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Most High. Cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them that trouble thee, that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Most High, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore, saith the Most High, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and the righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. And therefore, saith the Most High, I will surely avenge them, and receive unto me all the innocent blood from amongst them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundations of it shall be smitten with the plagues and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail, through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able, for because their pride the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. Behold, saith the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Libanus, to turn themselves one against another, and repay the things that they have done to them. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, so will I do also and recompense in their bosom. Thus saith the Most High God. My right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood upon the earth. The fire is gone forth from his wrath, and have consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled. Woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, saith the Most High. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power. Defile not my sanctuary. For the Most High knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For the Most High shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. Super powerful. It matches the sentiment that the other general knew about Israel when he was giving intel to the king concerning the children of Israel. The Most High just got finished in this prophecy that I was reading here. The Most High just expressed that same sentiment. If you sin, or if you sin on purpose, if you sin willfully, you're basically forfeiting your protection. The only protection that's going to get us through these times. Now, it might not seem, even as close as we are, it might not seem like these things are actually going to happen. Why? Because if I was to turn on my TV to a certain channel, today is the Sabbath, we're probably going to have any college football game you want to watch. Maybe have some NBA on. We'll probably have some baseball on. It seems like everything is normal. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of geopolitical war. And if you were in Syria right now, if you were in Iraq, if you were in Afghanistan, if you were in Yemen, if you were in Somalia, South Sudan, these scriptures would be jumping off the page because they are in the midst of hot wars as we speak. Ukraine. But us in America, we have a cloak of normalcy over our eyes. We don't see how immediate anything in these scriptures are because we can always get up and go to the store. We can go to Walmart, pick up a few things. But one day, that may not be so according to the scriptures. Let's hit 2nd Ezra, chapter 16. We'll read verse 40. Here's some instructions for those who are trying to keep the commandments, laws, and statutes to the best of their ability. They're called his people. 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 40 through 57. O my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be as pilgrims upon the earth. He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose. He that occupieth merchandise, as he that hath no profit by it, and he that buildeth, as he that shall not dwell therein. He that soweth, as if he should not reap. So also he that planteth the vineyard, as he that shall not gather grapes. They that marry, as they that shall get no children, and they that marry not, as the widower. And therefore they that labor, labor in vain. For strangers shall reap their fruits, and spoil their goods, overthrow their houses, and take their children captives. For in captivity and famine shall they get children. And they that occupy their merchandise with robbery, the more they deck their cities, their houses, their possessions, and their own persons, the more will I be angry with them for their sins, saith the Most High. Like as an whore envieth a right, honest, and virtuous woman, so shall righteousness hate iniquity when she decketh herself, and shall accuse her to her face when he cometh, that shall defend him that delighteth, diligently searcheth out every sin upon earth. And therefore be ye not like unto, nor to the works thereof. For yet a little iniquity shall be taken away out of the earth, and righteousness shall reign among you. Let not the sinner say that he hath not sinned, for God shall burn coals of fire upon his head, which saith before the Lord God and his glory, I have not sinned. Behold, the Lord knoweth all the works of men, their imaginations, their thoughts, and their hearts, which speak but the word, let the earth be made. Which spake but the word, let the earth be made, and it was made. Let the heaven be made, and it was created. In his words were the stars made, and he knoweth the numbers of them. He searcheth the deep, and the treasures thereof. He hath measured the sea, and what it containeth. Just going to show you that the dividing line between those who are going to be saved through the evils of these days are your how much you are in touch with the Most High, and how diligently you are trying to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. Might sound like, well, seems like those who have the most food stored up will be able to survive. It's not what the prophecy says. The prophecy says those who are listening to the Most High's commandments and doing them are going to be the ones who escape the evils of these days. He might tell you to go here, you might have to get up and go. You're not going to have time to say, well, I just got all this merchandise, let me sell it so I'll have. If he says go, it's time to go. So we keep the commandments in these normal times so that we can root out a lot of the selfishness that we have inside of us, because that selfishness and that delaying may get you killed. There's a passage in the book of where Christ talks about, in the book of Matthew, I believe, that says, hey, when it's time to go, don't even go into your house, paraphrasing, to get any clothes. Just get out, go. You see? Now, if you still have selfishness in your heart, you're going to say, no, let me go get a few things of clothes, and let me pack a few things before I go. Oh, I'll go tomorrow. That selfishness just got you killed. So part of keeping the commandments is humbling yourself down to where you can be ready to hear the Most High at that time. We're practicing right now. But if you're not in tune with practicing now, you're not going to sink 2 game-winning free throws in Game 7 of the finals if you hadn't done your work in the practice gym. Okay? Let's go back to 2nd Ezra, chapter 12. Sticking with this very profound prophetic book of Ezra, 2nd Ezra, chapter 12, verse 11 and 12.
But show them the book, show them the book on there, what you got.
2nd Ezra, chapter 12, verse 11 and 12. Everybody got that?
Yeah, he wants you to show him the cover of the 1611 you got.
What I'm working with here, if you can see it, is a King James Holy Bible, the 1611 edition. Why 1611, you say? Why can't I just pick up any Bible? You can. But about 150 years ago, roughly, the Christian church, the powers that be within the Christian church, back when we didn't know who we were picking cotton somewhere, they decided that, hey, If we let these people read this 1611, they're going to wake up a little quicker than we ever intended for them to wake up, if at all. So within the 1611 Bible, you're going to find there are roughly 14 books called the Apocrypha. May be wrong on the number, but they're called the Apocrypha as a whole, which means hidden. And within the Apocrypha, you have Second Esdras, the same prophet Ezra that has a writing in the Bible, in the regular one that we've grown up with without the Apocrypha. That same prophet Ezra, the way you say his name in the Greek is Esdras. It's the same guy. He had other writings, and we're able to go ahead.
And I would like to make another reference on another book, book of Joshua. And that's another good book to pick up.
Book of Joshua. You got the Book of Jubilee. You got the Book of Enoch. Now, if you're someone who has been convinced not to go into those records, that's your choice. Just means that you won't get the information. Okay? We don't hate you for it. That's your choice. We choose to take that information. Okay? Second Esdras. Is that all you had, Ott?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Second Esdras chapter 12, verses 11 and 12. It says, "The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel. But it was not expounded unto him. Therefore now I declare it unto thee." So Esdras was told profound information that could be found in what he was told that coincides with what was told to Daniel in the book of Daniel, but he's going to get into more detail about this fourth kingdom that was spoken of in the book of Daniel. Now let's go down to verse 23 of the same chapter, 2nd Ezra chapter 12, verse 23 through 34. It says, "In his last days shall the Most High raise up 3 kingdoms, and renew many things therein, and they shall have the dominion of the earth. And of those that dwell therein with much oppression above all those that were before them. Therefore are they called the heads of the eagle." Remember, the eagle is that fourth kingdom, Rome, spoken of in Daniel. So these are the heads of Rome. Verse 25. "For these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. And whereas thou sawest that great head appeared no more, it signifieth that one of them shall die upon his bed, and yet with pain. For the 2 that remain shall be slain with the sword. For the sword of the one shall devour the other, but at the last he shall fall through the sword himself. And whereas thou sawest 2 feathers under the wing passing over the head that is on the right side, it signifieth that these are they whom the highest hath kept unto their end. And this is the small kingdom full of trouble as thou sawest. And the lion whom thou sawest rising up out of the wood, and roaring, and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which thou hast heard, this is the anointed, which the highest has kept for them." Now, pause right there. Another word for anointed is Christ. Christ means the anointed. Messiah means the anointed. Okay? So I'll read it again, verse 32. "This is the anointed which the highest has kept for them, and for their wickedness until the end. He shall reprove them and shall upbraid them with their cruelty. For he shall set them before him alive in judgment, and shall rebuke them and correct them. For the rest of my people shall he deliver with mercy. Those that have been preserved upon my borders, he shall make them joyful until the coming of the day of judgment, whereof I have spoken unto thee from the beginning. So Christ is going to come and put the final end to the Roman Empire. But it's going to be terribly weakened because the three largest imperial forces within the Roman construct are going to infight and destroy each other. And Christ is going to come and tear down the little remnants of the Roman Empire, finish them all together. While this is happening, the Most High's people are going to be in what Ezekiel 20 calls the wilderness. Okay? So if anybody tells you that Christ is not spoken of in the Apocrypha, that's why we took it out. We know that is false, because we just read a passage talking about Christ's return, as he said he would. Said he'd return, and the prophecy is telling you about his return. Now let's go to Joel chapter 3. Everybody should have the book of Joel. Joel chapter 3 says, we'll go 1 through 14. I'm hitting a lot of precepts because these precepts speak for themselves, and these are chapters that if you are into end time prophecy, which I don't know how you cannot be as a biblical scholar, these are the chapters you will be studying. Okay? It says, for behold, Joel 3, 1 through 14. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that they might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people afar off. For the Lord hath spoken it. Proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves, and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Most High. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit and judge all the heathens round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. So as we see, the Most High intends, whatever the spin is on the news, whatever the reason, whatever dictator gets demonized, the intention of the Most High is to gather all these Gentile armies into what is called the Valley of Decision for them to destroy one another. The leaders of these factions that are going to convince their allies to go into this central location to do battle are the heads of the eagles. And with those heads, they have allies. Russia is one. Russia's allies are Iran, China. They're even starting a BRICS bank, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That is a direct competition to the IMF, International Monetary Fund Bank, headed by the Western nations, namely America and its allies. Now, America and its allies, at all costs, don't want to lose control of international banking. Therefore, they will demonize anybody, kill anybody, make up any lie, invade any country in order to stop this from happening. This is what you're seeing now. Most High is telling you that this is all for us. So for those who you tell about this truth and they reject it, tell them once, tell them twice. After that, move on. Because some people will never hear. That's the book of Titus, chapter 3, tells you. Some people are just subverted to sin. Where are we at in time, Ak? Okay, he's probably busy with the baby. Let's hit 2nd Esdras. Let's hit another passage.
You good? You good on the time? Go ahead and admit as much. We've been on close to an hour, but we're gonna go ahead and get it all the way in. You know, Shabbat Shalom. You good?
5 more precepts and we'll be good to go. Now we're going to get into the war, pretty much blow by blow. 2nd Esdras, back to the book, the prophetic book of 2nd Esdras and the Apocrypha. If this is your first time being exposed to the Apocrypha, I remember when it was my first time reading the passages from the Apocrypha of 2nd Esdras, it blew my mind the detail that the Most High gave this prophet. Okay. 2nd Esdras chapter 15. We're going to read verse 28 through 15. This is the war. Remember, verse 27 said the plagues are starting. And he said the sinners aren't going to be protected. Now let's see what these plagues are. Verse 28. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmanians, if you look up who the ancient Carmanians were, that coincides with southern Iraq. If you look in the place where is modern day Carmania, that is where Iran has its most powerful army brigades located at. Research that. Verse 30. Also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. The Assyrians' land was mainly in northern Iraq. Nineveh today is modern day Mosul. Mosul is a land that is taken over by ISIS right now, so-called ISIS. They control Mosul. The Iranians are going to destroy that place to get it back. Verse 31. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee. Let me stop right there, because that 31 might confuse you. That just means that the Arabs are going to come together. If you know anything about Arabian geopolitics, they all hate each other. They all go back and tell America, oh, he's this, he's that, he's this. And America is more than willing to keep those people at each other's throats. The Arabs are now threatened enough to actually come together, and for the first time, they have joined and made an Arab army, an all Arab army for the first time. Okay? Verse 33. You can look that up. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them. And in their host shall be fear and dread and strife amongst their kings. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south. They are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. These are your military jets. See, notice all these countries that join into this battle are just saying, no ground troops. We're just going to fly air missions. We're just going to be bombing from the air. Only airstrikes, only airstrikes. All these countries, Russia, only airstrikes. America, only airstrikes. France, only airstrikes. Jordan, only airstrikes. Saudi Arabia, only airstrikes. Nobody wants to commit ground troops right now. Scriptures predicted that. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north and from the south. They are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star. These are missiles, these are bombs. And blood shall be from the sword unto the belly, and dung of men unto the camel's hoof. Camels are in the Middle East, ladies and gentlemen. Dung comes out of men when they're dead. Verse 37. And there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon earth, and they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. And then shall there come great storms from the south and from the north, and another part from the west. So this is just denoting, verse 38 is telling you that there's going to be an expansion. More countries are going to get in. See, and then there shall come great storms from the south and from the north, and another part from the west. And strong wind shall arise from the east. So a strong nation from the east is going to get into this thing. And shall open it. And the cloud which he raised up in wrath, and the stars stirred to cause fear towards the east and west wind, shall be destroyed. The great and mighty cloud shall be lifted up, full of wrath, in the star, that they make all the earth afraid, and them that dwell therein, and they shall pour out over every high and eminent place and horrible star. So this is telling you when the missiles start flying in all directions. Fire and hail and flying swords and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters. And they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the wood, and the grass of the meadows, and their corn. And they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon, and make her afraid. They shall come to her and besiege her. The star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. Then shall the dust and smoke go up unto the heaven, and all they that be about her shall bewail her, and they that remain under her shall do service unto them that have put her in fear. That seems to coincide with Isaiah 14 and 1 through 3. We did service we're going to rule over our oppressors. That also seems to coincide with Revelation chapter 18, where all the merchants of the earth are going to bewail over the destruction of Babylon. Okay? Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 1 and 2. 2nd Ezra 16, 1 and 2 says, Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with clouds of sack, and bewail and hair, and bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. If you look at the geographical landmass of what's being talked about, ancient Babylon, Turkey, over to Egypt and the land of Syria, it seems to coincide with the book of Joshua, where it talks about the real landmass of what Israel should be, the real Israel with the real people, from the land of the Hittites, which is up in Turkey, all the way to the Euphrates River, which is in Iraq, all the way to the river of Egypt, which is in Africa, all the way in the land of Syria also. So all that is what really is Israel. That little slither of land that the Israelis occupy today, that is not the extent of what is the land of Israel. So now you see why the Most High must evict all these people out of this land, proving that if you turn on the headlines right now, where are all the migrants coming from? All the migrants are going to Europe from Syria. The Most High is laying the groundwork for his people to reclaim his land. Whether you believe it or not, it's going to come to pass. These gangbangers, these Negroes, these people marching all the time, hands up, don't shoot. We seem like we're powerless now, filling up the jails. We're about to rule this world. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, 46 through 63. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, 46 through 63. Let me read this real quick, because this is about the destruction of Turkey. If you read in the book of Revelations chapter 1, you're going to read about the churches in Asia. Look at those cities. They're all in what is a modern day Turkey. Okay? And thou Asia, that are partakers in the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. What does Turkey desire to commit whoredom with the West? Why does Turkey is a member of NATO. Anytime America wants to get at Russia for any reasons, they place missiles in Turkey. Okay? That's what's being, we got to go with the precepts to see what this Asia is. Some people will automatically just go, oh, Asia, must be talking about the Japs and the Chinese. No, this Asia, according to the precepts. Matter of fact, let's get that. Revelation chapter 1. Let me get that real quick. Let me hold what I got. We're almost done. It says, verse 11. Actually, I was going to go there, but I'll read it right now. Verse 10 and 11. I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what thou seest, write in a book, and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, unto Smyrna, unto Pergamos, unto Thyatira, unto Sardis, in Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. If you look up those cities, those are all in what is modern day Turkey. If you look in the headlines today, who trained ISIS to go into Syria? Turkey. Who allows America to put missiles pointed at Russia to threaten Russia? Turkey. Who just threatened Russia to not fly over their airspace anymore during their bombing raids in Syria? Turkey. Turkey has a stake in this. Why? Because Turkey wants to defeat the Kurds. Turkey has a problem with the Kurdish population within their country. So they have their own interest in getting into a hot war because they want to defeat the Kurds. The Kurds are a minority within Turkey that plague the Turkish government. So they're using America and its ambitions in the Middle East in order to justify them getting at and taking on their Kurdish problem. Learn your geopolitics. It's very important. It may save your life. Okay? Now, let's get back to 2nd Esdras. It says, "And thou, Asia, that art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person, woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore, saith the Most High, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And the glory of thy power shall be dried up as flour, when the heat shall arise that is sent over thee. Thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, and as one chastened with wounds, so that the mighty and lovers shall not be able to receive thee. Would I with jealousy have so proceeded against thee, saith the Most High, if thou hadst not always slain my chosen?" Stop right there. Where has the children of Israel suffered more persecution at? In China or in Turkey? See, all of the churches, the 7 churches in Revelation, were located in Turkey. Pergamos being where Satan's seat was. So if we had churches set up right in Satan, where Satan's seat is, we were being persecuted there. Okay? Just to prove that Asia is talking about Turkey. Okay? Where am I at here? I'm in verse 53. "If thou hadst not always slain my chosen, exalting the strokes of thine hand, and saying over their dead, when thou was drunken, set forth the beauty of thy countenance. The reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom, therefore shalt thou receive recompense." So when we were down, they were teasing us. Okay? "Like as thou hast done unto my chosen, saith the Lord, even so shall God do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief. Thy children shall die in hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy city shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread, and thirst and of water. Thou, as unhappy, shall come through the sea, and receive plagues again. And in the passage, they shall rush on the idol city, and shall destroy some portion of thy land, and consume parts of the glory, and shall return to Babylon that was destroyed. And thou shalt be cast down by them as stubble, and they shall be unto thee as fire, and shall consume thee and thy cities. Thy land and thy mountains, all thy wood and thy fruitful trees shall they burn with fire. Thy children shall they carry away captive, and look what thou hast. They shall spoil it and mar the beauty of thy face." See, if you know anything about world history, Turkey was a major empire, all the way from Turkey to Greece, all the way to northern Africa. The Ottoman Empire ruled. Not until World War I did the Ottoman Empire get shrunk into a smaller empire established by a man named Ataturk. That's why it's called Turkey today. Okay? We already got that Revelation. So our last verse here, we're going to Revelation chapter 2, and let's read Christ's instructions to the 7 churches, because this is your protection here, right here. We'll just read it. Actually, we'll actually refer you to it. Read Revelation chapter 2 and Revelation chapter 3. It's going to tie in what each church needs to do in these last days in order to be in line with the Most High. Some of these churches, their problem was they got too much doctrine of the Nicolaitans mixed in. Most High hates that. Some of these churches, they letting Jezebel teach and seduce the Most High servants to eat foods sacrificed to idols and commit fornication. Most High don't like that. Some of these churches are just don't have a lot of knowledge. He said, look, I don't put no more burden on you. You don't even know the depths of Satan. So read Revelation chapter 2 and chapter 3, and hopefully we can be on the side of the Most High through these perilous times. I hope each and every one of you brothers and sisters are able to receive this message and study and are able to find peace with the Most High through these evils. I don't say this lightly, what we're about to go through, but on the other side is going to be great joy, and we're going to get the kingdom. Shalom. Back to you, Al.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, good lesson, brother. Yeah. If you made it to the end, go ahead and make sure this was edifying for you. If you're able to follow along and get some good information, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you leave a comment, let us know you heard, or you know, this is something you got something out of, any questions, anything like that. We check the page frequently. So just trying to reach out to Hebrews, Israelites, brothers and sisters across the globe. You know, if you need somebody to study with, if you need somebody to get in on the class, we're gonna try to do this we're not gonna try. We've been doing this every Saturday. Excuse me. But if you want to get in there, go ahead, subscribe, and be notified when we're gonna do our thing. But everybody out there, I appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate you, Rataziah, Jehu. You got anything you want to get in before we sign off?
No, we good.
We good. All right, brothers, sisters. Shabbat shalom.